on
Bees.
bees. Bees, bees, bees. Have we been talking about bees all the time?
Yes.
No? What animal group have we been talking about?
Insects.
Insects. Today, we are going to be talking about insect you guys are very familiar with, the
Bee.
The bee. Very, very good. How many of you guys know some facts, some interesting facts about bees? How many of you guys know some interesting facts about bees? How many of you guys have ever seen a bee before? Very good. What we are going to do right now is we are going to do musical shares. We're going to do musical shares. As we are going around the classroom, I want you guys to act like a bee. Act like a bee. Okay? Are we ready? All right. As we play the music, I want to see everybody moving around. Remember, when the music stops, what are you going to do? Find a partner and tell your partner a fact about
Bees. Oh, yes.
I like my
The Bumblebee
voices.
dancing. I don't want to do the Bumblebee dancing.
Oh, I see some features of bees. All right, find a partner. Last one. Think of a good fact you know about bees. Ooh, nice job. What's my marker? There it is. Nice job. Mrs. Munoz's class, back to the carpet. My class, back to your seats. So as I said today, we are going to be learning all about bees. We're going to be learning all about bees. Jonah, what was one fact that you told your partner about bees? That bees have stingers. Everybody say, good job, Jonah.
Good job, Jonah.
Zayden, what's the fact that you know about bees?
That if a drone finds a queen, it mates with it.
Oh, everybody give Zayden a 10-finger woo. Good job, Zayden. So, let's look at it. Today, our core vocabulary word, the first word is going to be colonies.
Colony.
Colonies are community of animals living close together. Number two, the second vocabulary word we're learning today is cooperate.
Cooperate.
Cooperate means we work together. What does cooperate mean? We
Work together.
Nice. The third one, as Zayden was just saying, the third word is drone.
Drone.
Drone is a male bee in a social bee colony whose job it is to fertilize the queen. Good job. The next word is pollen.
Pollen.
Pollen is a fine, powdery substance produced within flowers. Have you guys heard that word before, pollen?
Yes.
Yes. Finally, our last vocabulary word is society.
Society.
Groups of people or animals living together in organized communities. Okay? So today's topic today's title is going to be Social Insects, Bees, and Wasps. We've talked about the words social and solitary before. When I say teach, please turn to your neighbor and tell them what the difference between social and solitary is. Teach! Tell me what solitary means. If you are in solitary, what does it mean? Mason, I love your hand.
It means that you're off by yourself.
By yourself. Everybody say, good job, Mason.
Good job, Mason.
So if solitary means you're by yourself, Natalie, what does social mean?
It means that you're with a lot of people.
You're with a lot of other people. You are not by yourself. Very, very good. So, not all bees and wasps are social insects. Some are solitary. Today we're going to learn all about the habits of the honeybee and the paper wasp. Both very important social insects. Remember, social insects must work together to live, to survive. Do you know where honeybees and paper wasps live? Do you know where they live? Who knows where paper wasps and honeybees live? Nina?
And usually bushes?
And usually bushes? Okay. Do they usually make something? Do they just hang out on?
Honey.
Do they usually just hang out on the limbs?
No,
Elena?
they usually live in hives.
They usually make some sort of hive, right? When we already talked about some facts, does anybody know any facts about paper wasps? About paper wasps? Lily?
But they collect wood and old fences.
Maybe that they collect some wood and some old fences. Today, the purpose of our lesson is we're going to learn about 3 types of honeybees and paper wasps. The workers, the drones, and the very famous female, also known as the queen. Queen. Very good. We're going to, instead of me reading you a story today, we are going to listen to a story online. Make sure we're paying attention throughout the story. I will pause it and I'll be asking you guys questions. So make sure you guys are paying extra special care and attention to it.
Yes, sir.
Buzz, buzz. Oh, you startled me. I'm so busy that I nearly forgot where I was. I'm a honeybee and I'm delighted to be here to tell you a little bit about my everyday world. Honeybees are quite social. What does social mean?
Did we talk about what social means? What does social mean? They work together. Good job.
Humans are social too, which means they live together in communities or groups instead of living alone. Social insects live in communities too. Most insects are solitary, living alone their entire lives. They're alone when they hatch from their eggs, they search for food alone, and they find their own shelter. There are thousands of different kinds of bees on the planet, and most of them live solitary lives. But honeybees are different.
So most bees are solitary or social?
Solitary.
It just said most bees are solitary. But honeybees are different. Honeybees are what? Social.
We live together in organized communities and depend upon one another to live, solving problems as a team. We gather and share food and build nests together, cooperate or work together to raise our young, and help protect one another from enemies. Honeybee communities are called colonies. Our colonies are made up of 20,000 or more bees. We like to make our nests or beehives in dark places.
How many bees are in the colonies?
2,000.
2,000? 20,000. I'm going to write 20,000 up here on the board because that is a huge number. Number 20 with 3 zeros after that. Do you think that's a lot of mouths to feed?
Yeah.
Can you imagine making food for 20,000 people? That would be a nightmare. That would be a nightmare. Okay.
That's why you often see pictures of us buzzing around in the trunks of hollow trees. People use beehive boxes to raise honeybees for honey. Perhaps you've seen these boxes in a field, orchard, or backyard. Wherever we nest, we build honeycombs. This amazing structure of layered cells is made from a waxy substance that we produce in our abdomens. Can you spot a pattern among the cells in this honeycomb?
So before we talk about that, she said they produce a waxy substance in their... Do we remember the 3 parts of an insect? Do we remember? Let's practice together. The and the abdomen. Very good. And where do they produce this waxy substance? In the abdomen. Very good. Very, very good. It also said that the honeycombs are in a pattern. Does anybody see the pattern up there of the honeycomb? Does anybody see the pattern? Eliasab, do you see the pattern? No? Landon.
That every honeycomb is shaped as a...
That every one is shaped as a hexagon. Do you guys see that up there? What is a hexagon, class? A hexagon is a... Very good. It has 6 sides and it also has 6 angles.
They are all 6-sided. What purpose do all of these cells serve? These cells are very important to our lives. Listen carefully and I'll tell you how they're important to many of the jobs we perform. Remember, I told you we are very social insects and very busy. There's lots of work to be done and each bee in the colony has its own job to do. Every honeybee colony has a mother called the queen bee. The queen is always the largest bee in the hive and she has only one job to do. She must lay eggs, lots and lots of eggs.
So, how many queen bees are there in a hive? 1. And what is her sole job?
To lay eggs.
To do what? Very good.
She must produce more queens for other hives and make sure there are enough worker bees to do the work in her own hive. The queen bee flies from the nest to mate with male bees called drones. Once a drone is mated with a queen bee, it has done its job and it dies. Drones cannot sting because they don't have stingers. When the queen returns, she lays her eggs, sometimes more than 1,000 eggs a day. Where do you think the queen bee lays all of these eggs? Right.
Where do we think the queen bee might lay some of these eggs? Where do we think? Turn to your neighbor and tell him, where does the queen bee lay her eggs? Teach! When I say welcome to, you say my class. Welcome to
My class.
Welcome to
My class.
Thank you. Where do you think the queen bee lays her eggs? Caleb, can you say that a little bit louder, please?
In the honeycomb where there's no honey.
Okay, so inside of the honeycombs. Who agrees or disagrees with Caleb? Who agrees or disagrees with Caleb? Justin.
I agree because I know that from a book.
You agree because you know that for a book. I like how you said that. Very, very good. Okay, Zayden.
I agree with Caleb because if they don't get laid in the honeycombs, then they won't have anywhere else to store the eggs.
Everybody say good job. Zayden.
Good job, Zayden.
Let's continue our listening.
She returns to the comb to lay them there in the cells. So the word comb here refers to the structure in which bees live and it contains 6-sided cells. The word comb can also refer to the device that a person uses to make his or her hair neat and untangled. The queen then pushes tiny eggs, no bigger than a pinhead, from her abdomen into the waxy cells of the honeycomb, 1 egg to each cell. Which part of the insect's body is the abdomen?
Which part of the insect's body is the abdomen? Would it be the top, the middle, or the bottom? Bottom. Where are the legs usually attached? To the Good job.
That's that section at the end, farthest away from the head. In just a few days, the eggs hatch. The larvae get fed pollen by one of the hive's female worker bees. Pollen is a fine, powdery substance that is produced by flowers. The larvae grow and eventually spin silky cocoons. Worker bee.
Have you learned about silk before? Have you learned about silk before? When did we learn about silk? Elena,
When we were learning about China.
when we were learning about China, what animals make silk? Do we remember which ones? Elijah.
Silkworms.
Silkworms. Everybody give Elijah a 5-finger woo. Very, very good.
Is quickly seal over the small waxy cells of the honeycomb, protecting the developing pupa inside each cocoon. Does this process sound familiar? It should. The bees are undergoing a change. In the previous read aloud, you heard a word that means the changes an insect goes through during its life cycle.
So, who knows what changes insects go through a life cycle? Turn to your neighbor and tell them what that word is. We're going to do it fast. Teach. When I say 1, 2, you say B. 1, 2. B. 1, 2. B. 1, 2. B. Awesome job, class. Good job. What is that word called? 1, 2, 3. Let's see if you're right.
What is the word that refers to that change? Metamorphosis.
Nice job, class.
When they emerge from their cocoons, they will chew their way out of the cells, emerging as full-grown adults. Most of the new adults are female worker bees. They only live for a few months, and they spend their whole lives working hard to keep the hive running well.
Most of the bees are what?
Female.
Most of the worker bees are females. And it says they spend most of their lives doing what?
Keeping the hive running.
Keeping the hive running. Good job, Natalie.
They keep the hive clean. They serve as nurse bees, tending to the larvae. They make new cells and repair old ones. And they store nectar and pollen that others bring back to the hive. After several weeks working inside the hive, these hardworking females go outside to serve as guards, protecting the hive from enemies and bees from other hives. Each hive has its own special chemical scent or smell, so it's easy to tell who doesn't belong in the hive. Near the end of her life, a worker bee becomes a forager bee, collecting the sweet juice from flowers. A forager is an animal that wanders over an area in search of food. This juice or nectar is used to make honey. Foraging worker bees have keen or sharp senses of smell and sight and very good memories. They may visit thousands of flowers each day to find the best nectar. When a bee discovers a particularly good source of nectar, it returns to the hive to share its information with other foragers. First, it lets the other foragers smell the pollen so they can identify the type of flower. Then it performs a complicated and special waggle dance. As it circles about in a pattern like a figure 8, it waggles its abdomen as it moves through the middle of its dance. The bees repeat it.
Right now, we're going to stop, and we're going to act like bees, and we're going to wiggle our abdomen. Everybody up. Let's pretend that we're a worker bee, and we're going to do a special, how would you think a worker bee dance would go? How do you think it might go? Worker bee dance? Are the worker bees quiet? What do they do? There we go. Buzz! Good job, my dancing bees.
Tell the others exactly how far away and in which direction from the sun the flowers are located. A bee that thinks she's found a really good flower patch does the waggle dance with lots of energy. Why might it be helpful to the other bees to know how good the source of nectar is? Where do you suppose the bees put the nectar when they return to the hive? They make them.
Where do you think the bees put the nectar when they get back to the hive? Haley,
They put it on their body.
do you think they put it on their body when they get back to the hive? Ashton,
They put it in their cells.
in the cells, right? We also call those cells what? Like the honeycombs, right? Everybody say good job, Ashton.
They collect honey and store it in the cells that are not being used for developing bees. The honey is an important food source for the bees. While moving from flower to flower, worker bees rub up against a yellow powder called pollen. Honeybees will pack the pollen into baskets of hairs on their hind legs, and then they carry it with them. Pollen is used to feed the larvae, but this pollen is important stuff for another reason. Plants need pollen from other plants in order to make new seeds. This is called pollination. Honeybees are important because they carry the pollen between flowers of the same species or kind. So who remembers what a species is? I'd like to introduce you to a relative of mine. This is a paper wasp. Look closely at its body compared to mine. What do we have in common? We each have a head.
Class, class.
Yes, yes.
Turn to your neighbor and tell them two things that are in common. See if you can tell one thing that might be different. Teach. Bring it. You say that. Bring it. Bring it. Bring it. Nice job, class. Let's give you a point. Mighty oh yeah. Oh yeah. You guys are kicking my butt today. 62. Man. All right. Who had some good answers about how they are similar? How they are similar? Andrew, how are they similar? They both have a. They both have stingers. Say good job, Andrew.
Good job, Andrew.
Aiden.
They both have an abdomen, thorax, and a head.
Oh, look at the big brain on Aiden. Good job. They all have a head, thorax, and a abdomen. Everybody give Aiden a 10-finger group. Nice job. Who else has a good fact? Elliot Sam. They both have exoskeletons. Oh my gosh. How does he know that they both have exoskeletons, Caleb? How does he know that?
Because all insects.
Because insects have
Exoskeletons.
Nice job, Elliot Sam. Good job. All right. Who can tell me one difference? A difference that you see in between them both. McKenna.
The bee has like a pattern.
A bee kind of has its own pattern. That's not like the wasps. Very good. All right. We're going to continue.
We each have a thorax with 6 legs, an abdomen, an exoskeleton, and wings. And this particular wasp, the paper wasp, is a social insect just like me. Some wasps are solitary, but the black and gold ones always nearly live in societies. Societies are groups of people or animals living together in organized communities. In our human society, people are organized in the ways they live and work. Like honeybees, wasps live in large groups. What are these groups called? Yes, wasps.
What do they call when you live in a big group? Call it a
Colony.
A
Colony.
Good job, a colony.
Wasps live in colonies. Each colony has a leader, a female wasp who is bigger than all the other wasps and who spends most of her time laying eggs. Sound familiar? What is she called? Yes, the queen. Like honeybees, wasps build nests.
Have any of you guys ever seen a comb like this before?
Yeah.
Elijah, when have you seen one of these?
At my house, because wasps and hornets live in that umbrella.
At your house? I had one outside of my house too, like on my front patio when I looked outside, and it wasn't that big, but you could see that it was starting. And do you think that I got rid of it right away, or did I leave it alone?
Leave it alone.
What happens if I leave it alone? What's going to happen if it's small?
It's gonna go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So do you think I left it alone?
No.
No. Did I put on some protection?
Yeah.
And do you think I sprayed it down and took it down?
Yeah.
Yes, right?
They build them in many different places, usually in hidden, difficult to see places that are protected from rain or bad weather, such as under the eaves of houses or in protected areas on trees. This wasp nest is under the eave of a building, a protected place where the roof and the outside wall come together. Wasp nests have a very different look from beehives on the outside. The the paper-like structures are similar to ours on the inside. We'll take a look at how paper wasps build their nests. The process begins with the queen. She finds plant fibers, dry grasses, old boards, fence posts, and pulls them apart with her strong jaws. She softens the splintering pieces with saliva inside her mouth and chews them into a paste that looks and feels a little like paper. Then she sticks a dab of this paste to whatever surface she's chosen for her nest.
Please turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor how paper wasps build their homes. Teach! Tell me how these wasps build their hives. Natalie.
They find like old fences and stuff like that, and they rip it off with their strong jaws. Well, and they chew it up, and then it's kind of like a paste. They spit it on the surface that they want to put their nest. And they call them paper wasps because they kind of feel like paper.
Because their nest kind of feels like paper. Everybody give Natalie a 10-finger sizzle. Good job, Natalie.
Queen adds a tough stem to support the whole nest and begins attaching cone-like chambers to it. These clusters of 6-sided chambers open downward to keep the rain out. As the queen forms each chamber, she deposits an egg in each one. The eggs develop into larvae. The queen wasp takes care of the first larvae herself. She leaves the nest to find food, capturing and chewing other insects into mush to feed her young. About 2 weeks after hatching, the larvae enter the pupa stage, spinning cocoons inside each cell and covering the cells with silk. These sealed cells break open a few weeks later and come out adult wasps with long legs, strong wings, and large eyes. Most of these newly hatched wasps are female workers who begin to take over the queen's work right away. They hunt for food and feed the larvae, clean and repair the cells, and guard the nest. Others fan the nest with beating wings, and some even spread water over the combs to keep the nests cool. While the workers enlarge the nest for more and more wasps, the queen goes back to laying eggs. By summer's end, many of the workers have died. There are often 250 or more cells inside the wasp's papery nest. The wasps that do emerge at the end of the summer are no longer female worker wasps. Instead, they are new queens and males. The new queens find shelter in protected places, in attic walls, inside logs, under bushes, where they hibernate all winter. When spring comes, the new queens come out from hiding and begin building nests for the new colony.
We learned about hibernating before? We learned about hibernating. What does it mean to hibernate? What does it mean to hibernate? Katie.
It means like when it's winter and it gets too cold, the animals find a warm place to sleep all winter.
Why do they need a warm place?
So they don't die.
So they don't die. Everybody say good job, Katie.
Good job, Katie.
Nice. What other animals do we know hibernate? What other animals do we know? Jaden. Bears hibernate, right? Another one that hibernates. Rachel. Need some help? Wolves? Let's think. Josiah? Birds might hibernate? Remember we talked about birds don't hibernate. What do the birds do? We learned all about the birds. What do they do? Brianne? They fly south. Remember that middle line of the earth? What is that middle line on the earth called? The equator. So they fly south of the equator. Because it's what? Warmer. Nice job, guys.
Case of wasps. All wasps abandon their nests in fall, using them for one season only. When fall comes and the leaves drop from the trees, look up and see if you can spot one of their papery apartment houses dangling from under a roof or partially hidden behind a wall. Next Next time you'll find out how some other social insects build their nests. Until then, be thinking about who they might be.
Be thinking about it. All right. So. Okay, so the queen bee has one job to perform. Who can tell me what that one job is? Nori. She lays eggs. Good job. Are there more males or females in the hive? And why? Turn to your neighbor and tell them, are there more males or females? Teach. Are there more males or females? Sebastian. Why are there more females, Sebastian? Because the females have to find pollen?
No,
They have to work, and what are some of those job duties that they do? Caleb? They have to keep the hive clean. Mason?
And also there's more females because when the other queen dies, there has to be another queen there.
So, but does those females turn into a queen, or are you born a queen? You're born a queen, right? Very, very good. Are honeybees and paper wasps social or solitary? Miles. Are the honeybees and paper wasps solitary or social? Social. What does it mean to be social there? What does it mean to be social? They work in groups. They work together, right? Very, very good. The groups are called a what?
Colony.
A what?
Colony.
Good job. Good job. Okay? So let's look at this picture up here. Both honeybees and wasps build nests for their colonies. Describe how the nests are the same and how they're different. When I say teach, turn to your neighbor and tell them how they are similar and how they are different. We are going to compare and we are going to
Contrast.
teach. You say back, bring it, bring it, bring it. Nice, you can tell me how they are the same. How are they the same? Isaiah. They both have hexagons for their cells. Very good. Zayden.
They both have combs, but one thing about different is about them that the honeybees put honey in their combs, and the wasps don't put honey in their
Right. Very good job, Zayden. Casey. Well, that's about the bees. We're talking just about their hives right now. Okay? What about the combs themselves? What about the combs themselves? Kirschman. They're on their way. So, what about the way that the hives feel? What about the way that the hives feel? Mason.
The beehive
they feel like paper, right? Very, very good. Okay? Jessica, can you have some of this? Thank you. All right. Which member of the hive do you think are the most important? I'm going to give you a second to think about it. I'm going to give you a second. I want to see bottoms up. And you're going to say which one is most important. What are the different members of the hive? The drone, the queen, and the worker bee. All right. You ready? Teach. Let's give you guys one more point. Oh, yeah! Which one do you think is most important and why? Lily. So Lily said she thinks the queen bee because it lays the eggs. Who agrees or disagrees with Lily? Who agrees or disagrees with Lily? Olivia.
I agree with Lily because if the queen bee wasn't there and she didn't lay all those eggs, that hive wouldn't be there.
Very good. Who agrees or disagrees with Olivia? Bryce.
I agree with Olivia because if the drone or the worker bee were important and the queen died, there would be none of them. Because if they died, there would be no more bees.
So there'd be no more bees. Allison.
I agree because I agree
Bryce.
with Bryce because if there was no queen bee, there would be nobody to get the honey and all.
Does anybody disagree? So everybody thinks the queen bee is the most important bee?
Yes.
McKenna?
I think the drone because they make the bee
They help make the bees, right? So without the drones, the female couldn't reproduce and make babies, right? Right? What would happen if there were no worker bees? What would happen if there was no worker bees? Madison.
And they won't have any honey.
They wouldn't have any honey? Aiden? They couldn't build the honeycomb. So boys and girls, could the colony survive without any of its components? Could it survive without any of the different types of bees or wasps? No. So they all are what?
Important.
Are they all important?
Yes.
Absolutely. Everybody give your neighbor a high five and say, "Great job, partner."
Great job, partner.
I am going to, before we end, I want you to think of the one fact you learned today. Maybe one fact you wrote down in your writer's log and your jots. Think of one fact that you think is extraordinary. You're going to turn to your partner and you're going to tell them that one fact that you think is really, really special. Find it. Give me a thumbs up when you found it. One good fact. When I say teach, you're going to turn to your neighbor and you're going to tell them that one really good fact that you found. This one's going to be a little different. Teach.
Okay.
Munoz's class, you find somebody in my class, you're going to tell them that same important fact that you learned. Wait for it. Go. Wait for boys and girls. Andrew, find a partner. Andrew, go with Lisa right there. Allison and Diana, right there. Dana, what's on right there? That was not so great. Mighty grown. Good job. All right. Who can tell me a really good fact that their partner, told them? A really good fact that their partner told them. Madison.
That there's only one queen per hive.
Nice and loud for everybody to hear.
There's one queen per hive.
There's only one queen per hive. Good facts. Yes, Isabella.
That queen bees when the bees took all the honey, then all the bees would die.
Right. If there was no honey, what would happen?
The bees would
The bees would have nothing to eat. They would die. Okay? JC.
That drone bees don't have stingers.
That drone bees don't have stingers. Very good. Mrs. Munoz's class, give somebody in my class a high five and say, "You're so smart."
You're so smart.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Awesome job learning all about what? All about bees. Let me see you look like bees. All right.